Welcome to week 5, halfway point. So everything from here is downhill, right? Couple of admin reminders. Be sure and check the discussion post for week 5 to see if this is your week to do the annotated bibliography, if you haven't done it already. So do that for me. Also, I'll talk more at the end of this about the big assignment for the week, which is a book review. And there's some notes underneath about book reviews as well. A couple of web links that might be helpful. Last week, we talked about religion and reform. This week, something a little more saucy, sex and citizenship. As we're working through this week, the reading is, of course, The Murder of Helen Jewett. And if you haven't started it yet, a little foreshadowing here. Helen Jewett was a prostitute in New York City, and at the time, prostitution was frowned on even more than it is today. So you have to keep that in mind as you're working through the materials. Another thing to keep in mind is a lot of this book is based on the journalism at the time. And tabloid journalism is not a new thing. Tabloid journalism had been around for a long time. And the basic conflict of the book is you have essentially a middle-class white male who would be a full citizen at this point in history, and a female prostitute who not only didn't enjoy the full benefits of citizenship because she's female, but also because of her station in life and her profession was looked down on even more. So you'll see those dynamics at play here. Keep in mind that a lot of this does come from the journalism of the time. And like I said, tabloid journalism is not new. It was alive and well in New York City in early America. And they wanted to sell papers. You've got a prostitute that has been axed to death in her room at the brothel, set on fire. An axe is found outside. There's evidence inside of who her killer was, one of her clients. And throughout that is how you'll start to see this unwind. So you're really looking at a very family-centered, morally ethical kind of society. And this woman who lived and worked outside of that in something that people knew was going on, but either ignored or looked down on. I'm sure the clients that she had would not be willing to step up and go, oh yeah, I see her weekly, quarterly, whatever. So you had all that going on during the trial. And it's a pretty good crime novel overall. I'd kind of compare it to Forensics Files, those kind of things you might watch on Netflix or Hulu or wherever you're watching TV these days. And those shows are certainly really popular now. But I'd offer that you should look beyond that and more into the quality of the judicial system at the time. And think about how that plays even today in the judicial system, easy for me to say, that we have. And how some people, even though we say they have full citizenship in their rights or under the law, how sometimes the court systems and still don't play to them. And then on the other hand, how tabloid journalism still influences what we're seeing today. Okay? So kind of take a look at it through that and extrapolate your own findings. Looking forward to seeing what you're coming up with in the discussion post. Have skimmed over some of the topic proposals that came in week 4. Most of those appear to be on track, so I think we're doing really well there. The annotated bibliographies continue to be pretty good. For the majority of the class, I think those are coming out well. This week is a little different, and because it's a book review. The notes will explain this also down below the video. But every term that I've taught at SNHU has seemed to have a book review. And holistically, over my teaching here, what I get back is a lot of book reports. And I always try to put it in simple terms. So a book report is what you did in high school. A book review is an academic analysis of the book for a graduate program. And it's a skill that if you're going into history as a profession, you'll need to have. A book report is, hey, this is my book, this is the title, these are the main characters, this is the plot. Talk about the plot, talk about the personality of the characters, and then wrap up at the end with, this was a really good book and I think you would enjoy it. Or the ending of this book doesn't make any sense and it's really badly written, I wouldn't read it. That's a book report. And inevitably, a lot of people turn that in. And the people that turn that in are always dissatisfied with the marks they get. Because a book review is an academic analysis, like I said. You're judging the scholarly merit of this book. For this particular book review, you need to be able to summarize the concepts of the book in just a couple of paragraphs. What the book was about, what it's looking for, what are the themes of the book, and show an understanding of what the author is trying to tell you, what they were looking for, where are their biases, what are the facts that you think they omitted, what lens are they using, kind of what was the author's goal in writing this book. If it was a book about the Civil War, for instance, is the author trying to tell you that there were underlying causes other than the issue of slavery that caused the Civil War? Are they making that lost cause case, so to speak? Or are they refuting that? You're also asked in this particular book review to be able to paraphrase, which means you shouldn't be using like block quotes to make your points. You should be taking those block quotes, condensing them down, processing them, and explaining them in your own words. This isn't, I'm going to use a quote to make a point. Use quotes to help validate your own thinking. Look into the book and do that deeper level of analysis. And again, remember, meeting the standard if the rubric is a proficient. It's when you show that deeper level of understanding and do the extra digging into the book you've picked. That's where the exemplary comes in. And I would offer up that if I were doing this assignment, I would be pulling one of the books that's going to be one of the core books that I'm using for my final paper. It just kind of makes sense to me that you would be building throughout the term towards that end goal. So don't think you have to go out and grab a book that's completely off topic. Use one of the things that's relied on for your topic proposal and that short bibliography. All right. Again, some more notes and web links on book review versus book report at the bottom. If you've got any questions, reach out to me, m.caldwell@snhu.edu. And I will get back with you just as quickly as I can, but definitely within a day. All right. Thanks for listening and happy hunting.